Hello, everyone. We will get started in 1 minute as our participants get loaded into the session. Hey, Tom, long time no talk.
Right, Jody? Don't judge me here. I am double sipping today, if they'll show up clearly to represent
Oh, I love it.
PMC and Xactus brands. Um,
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm keeping it a dry Tuesday though. Oh, I
I'm
love it.
just, yeah. Um, we'll have bourbons tomorrow.
We'll make up for it then.
For sure.
Right.
All
Uh,
right, because we do have a very jam-packed schedule, we will go ahead and get started. So, welcome everyone to the SIP, a space where conversation sparks connection, collaboration inspires innovation, and industry leaders gather to tackle today's biggest challenges. Think of it as catching up over a coffee, or as Tama and I are going to do over a few bourbons tomorrow, only with insights that move our industry forward. At the Mortgage Collaborative, we're passionate about empowering our members to thrive. So, a special thank you for everyone who is joining us today. And before we dive in, I want to take a moment to recognize Veterans Day and extend our deepest thanks to the men and women who have served or are currently serving in the military. We honor your courage, your sacrifice, and the freedoms that you have helped to protect for all of us. And I want to give a special thank you and shout out to Tyler, the husband of Ashlyn Estes, who is our VP of Finance and Administration, and PJ, who is the husband of Ryan Carr, one of our member benefits advocates. Both are actively serving, and we have witnessed that firsthand. The strength that it takes from the families and the commitment is beyond understanding. So thank them for their service and to their families for their support. And to all veterans who are tuning in today, thank you. We're grateful for you. And if you have served or are currently serving, we would love for you to drop a note in the chat and we'd love to recognize you as well. So happy Veterans Day and thank you for your service. So, following that, today's episode is proudly sponsored by Xactus, a pioneer in verification technology, reshaping how credit and data power lending decisions. Representing Xactus is Tom Galucci, the EVP of Strategic Sales, or Cousin Solly, or the Anchorman, or what other characters have you played for TMC, Tom?
I mean, you've nailed the two documented. I even have my Ron Burgundy little action figure here that Tony Bramley once got me. Um, but yeah, in life, plenty of characters. I mean, I loved stand up and music and concerts as a kid. And in fact, we even did a performance of Weezer's Sweater Song at the seventh grade talent show, which did not go over very well in a Catholic school. But um,
Wow.
speaking of Jody, actually, I'm rolling out a weekly LinkedIn posting series, curating 5 to 10 song playlists where the concept changes week to week. So, artist, theme, follower feedback, storytelling, you name it.
Yep.
Meant to kind of be interactive and break up my many Xactus promotional posts. So, it's in honor of this episode and you being such a horse enthusiast. um I'll make my first one next Monday in tribute to this episode. So if you want to offline me maybe some favorite horse themed songs, or if anyone in the audience wants to drop in the chat maybe your favorite horse themed songs, we could see what makes the list. And
Yeah.
yeah, and
We
if
could
it's
just
not
do
misread in
TMC.
there,
I've got friends in
right?
low places where the whiskey runs and the beer chases my
Oh
blues
my,
away.
really? We just turned this into a karaoke hour.
So what is your role or character going to be for Desert Disruption in Scottsdale?
That is such a good question. I don't think I've gotten that far yet, but the one thing that comes to mind would be Doc Holliday. But Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday from Tombstone. He deserved an Oscar for that. I've got
Yeah.
cowboy hat and accent ready to go.
I love it. I love it. Props are ready. So speaking of Desert Disruption, do you want to tell the audience about your snafu in Zion?
Yeah, why not? There's already photo evidence there on LinkedIn. I'm sure some stories have traded through the network. But so I've ridden four wheelers before, but I haven't done a side by side, and I certainly haven't done it in the desert sands. Um, so one of our friends, call him Felix, uh, on the trail, like to stop at the top of the hill to figure out kind of where we would go on the trail next. But that doesn't exactly work out for you if you're behind Felix and you need some momentum to get up that hill in the first place. So we're like all of 5 minutes into this 3 hour excursion of ATV riding, and yours truly gets stuck. Um, naturally, five tool Jody shows up without hesitation, immediately pulls out the tow hook to go connect it to my side by side, but no luck. I'm stuck. So eventually, our friend Tim Pasquarella finally makes his way back to check on us, and he starts digging my tire out of the sand by hand. And he's a little panicked that he keeps yelling back at me. He's like, "Whatever you do not put this in reverse because you will kill me if you do, Tom." And I definitely didn't put it in reverse. He eventually was able to dig me out. Jody pulled me out, and then the rest of the afternoon was smooth sailing, and it was an amazing time.
Yeah. So I will embellish this story slightly. So our friend Brad Cardwell, he's like, we had helmets on. So, and your face was covered with the helmet. So it was very hard to hear. And it also was very hard to like understand that even if someone was talking to you. And I was like, Brad, you have a winch on the front of the four-wheeler, go pull him out. And he's like, I don't have one. So after we pull Tom out, I look at the front of his four-wheeler and I'm like, you do too have a winch. And he's like, I didn't see it. I really don't think he knew how to use it.
No, it is a good excuse to not. Not to mention, I've got Mimi writing co-pilot with me. And so you've got, touchscreen on there. She calls the service line for somebody to come check in on us. They can't hear a damn thing you're saying over the engines and everything else. And they're like, tell us your coordinates. We're like, we don't know our coordinates. What's your VIN number? Like, I wouldn't know where to look on this thing. So in the 20 minutes of being on the line, Jody and Tim managed to come to our rescue, and we just told them
Yeah.
we're good.
We got to give Sarah a little credit too.
That's
Sarah
true.
jumped out. She was like full
She did.
blown connecting this winch and well, I'll do what is needed. So I we will tell that story for years to come. I'm sure that it will grow to be much more dramatic than it actually was. But in all seriousness, you want to give us a brief recap of the executive retreat in Zion and some of the relationships and camaraderie forged with that.
Yeah. Whether it was, evening time learning new card games, or just, the shared experiences of Angel's Landing and the narrows trails through just um, unbelievable scenery in Zion. I mean, the pictures that are out there do not do it justice. It was heavenly. I think for me, it was the opportunity to have that shared experience with friends and colleagues, expanding the relationship building and the information sharing, kind of talking about what we're all seeing from our various lens of the industry and kind of what we're anticipating for 26. And there's very different priorities based on where you're coming from, either from a lender or a vendor or different types of lenders out there right now. But I think the most obvious takeaway is that change is inevitable in mortgage. I know, shocker alert. Um, and so you either embrace the chaos and you figure out how to react to it, or maybe this isn't the industry for you because mortgage is not for the weak.
Yeah.
Um, but it was, yeah, amazing experience.
Yeah.
Such a wonderful group brought together. It was a thrill.
Yeah. I tried to explain it to everyone. Like, you can't really talk about the level of connection. Like, it takes collaboration to an entirely new level. And there are a lot of really smart people there, and I was not one of them. I couldn't learn the card
Me
game in
neither.
30 seconds, but or 30 minutes or 30 days, but just a lot of really, smart brains together talking about what's going on in the industry. Wow, having a really good time. Like both can exist together. So it
Absolutely.
was, thank you to Xactus and Halcyon and Down Payment Resource for sponsoring that and also for your friendship and your insight and making that an even more special time. So thank you.
Trust me,
So
I got more out of it than I gave.
yeah, so I think that we'll dig in. So many people know Xactus as a provider, but you do so much more. Can you give the audience a high level of what Xactus provides and the problems that you solve for the industry?
Yeah, happily. You're right. Credit is our mainstay, but we also tackle the full gamut of verification. So whether it's income, employment, assets, tax transcripts, for some examples. We also have our in-house quality control team. So they do pre-funding and post-closing QA/QC work, as well as re-verifications that take place on the QC side, and HMDA audits. We also have proprietary flood determinations and fraud checks, as well as a data solutions division for lead generation and retention efforts. To include portfolio monitoring, account review, pre-screen leads, lost loan analysis, as well as valuations through our appraisal firewall division. So I have a team of subject matter experts that represent each of these product lines that directly report into me.
So let's dig in a little bit to appraisal firewall because it has been, a lot of updates in the industry related to appraisal. You're not commonly known for that. You've come up a few times, appraisal firewall has come up a few times in conversation in working groups. So if you could dig into appraisal firewall for a few
Yeah.
minutes and what you do, that'd be great.
Happily. I mean, I remember bringing Appraisal Firewall in when it was still a standalone company when I was at TMC. So in 2022, Appraisal Firewall was purchased by Xactus, brought in to essentially be our valuation division under Appraisal Firewall X. So you'll see there's a lot of X's on the tail end of every one of our product suite names. So Appraisal Firewall is both residential and commercial appraisal management technology for lenders to manage their own appraisal process. So, yeah, a fair appraisal firewall enables lenders to work with their appraisers and any AMC they choose to increase efficiencies during the loan manufacturing process. And appraisal firewall also helps lenders comply with all the appraisal related regulations. I do want to clarify the common misnomer out there. Appraisal Firewall X is not an AMC. It's a technology platform where you can order both residential and commercial appraisals, as well as some subproducts through there. But we are not the AMC. We do interface with appraisers. So in that realm, Appraisal Firewall allows your clients to set up their panel of appraisers, including AMCs. So, appraiser can work directly with their clients, and appraisers actually like Appraisal Firewall X because they can still keep their full fees and be able to communicate directly with the lender as well as the consumer.
All right, understood. I also had that misconception about appraisal firewall being an
Very common.
AMC. So thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Shifting gears, something you had a little bit of trouble with the sand dunes in Zion, but I'm sure I won't need to bail you out on this one. Xactus recently rolled out Mortgage Intent Index. What is it?
Yeah. Hey, man, you're spot on today, Jody. So the Zactus,
I've been up for hours, so
I can tell. I know you. You're in the barn at 6:30 in the morning.
I'm like Baker Mayfield. I woke up feeling dangerous.
I love it. A little PTSD there, but I love it regardless. So the Zactus Mortgage Intent Index, it is essentially it's the brainchild of our chief strategy officer, Thomas Lloyd, who's been building it out behind the scenes for the past 2 years. Um, Question back to you, Jody. What's the first consumer indicator of intent to obtain a mortgage?
Well, so I have heard, so this is KP speaking from me.
Got
It's all the D's, right? It's divorce, it's diapers, it's, I forget what the five or seven D's are, but that's what I think of when you first say that. But I don't
it.
know, what is it?
Well, it's the credit report. So, but yes, as far as those life event indicators, you're spot on. Um, so basically, our data backs up through 2 years of modeling. And we paired it against MBA's weekly application index. And we're able to show similar trend lines and increases or decreases in credit pulls lining up with increases, decreases in application data. But what we were able to see was those same upwards or downward trend lines would appear anywhere from 4 days to 2 weeks sooner through the Xactus Mortgage Intent Index. And why is because the credit is typically pulled before a lender has a full application. Um, so a little bit about the report briefly. We distribute the index out each Monday, and it does show both week over week, month over month, and year over year trends in the credit pull data. So it's complementary to Xactus clients. We do have a pay for version out there for those that aren't yet clients of Xactus or other industry stakeholders. So, if you're interested in being added to our distribution, you can simply drop me an email. I can throw it in the chat here at some point in time, but we're looking to build up our distribution there. And a big benefit to our clients or for the index itself is that it's being modeled against Xactus's entire client base. That's 6,500 clients, or 1/3 of every credit report pulled for mortgage specifically. And it's not just hard pulls. It does monitor, soft pulls, hard pulls, your pre-application credit pulls, all go into that population and kind of monitoring those trend lines with the index.
Right. So, it was a big win for TMC members in the industry, in my opinion, was passing the trigger lead legislation that goes into effect in March of 2026, which is, I can't believe this, right around the corner.
Right.
Is the Xactus Mortgage Intent Index impacted in any way?
Well, no, thankfully. But it's a really good question because there is a lot of focus on whether soft credit pulls will still be relevant in a post-trigger legislation environment. And, the jury's still out on that. But at Xactus, we think yes, just because of a lot of the carve-out language within the new law itself.
Yeah, it's like the impact of the legislation to the industry. I don't think we know the impact that it's going to have. I think we're all very optimistic about it. We do need an acronym. So the industry is full of acronyms, but I'm looking at it, and if we do XMII, it looks like a Roman numeral. So we're
For the
gonna,
indicator, yeah, for the
yeah.
index, I mean, or you could refer to it as X me, but I don't know, that could be awkward in conversation. So we'll keep it at the Xactus.
Don't X me.
I thought you were going to ask me about acronyms for the new trigger bill out there, which we're already doubling it internally, the HPPA.
Okay. All right. There you have it. First heard here. So shifting gears again, I won't make any more jokes about Zion. We can't have a partner in the credit space on without asking about FICO 10T, Vantage Score 4.0, FICO direct and indirect models, rising cost of credit, buy merge, replacing tri merge, joint reports over $150. Can you help us all make sense of what's going on and help our lenders out?
We'll certainly give it the old college try. My formal answer would be yes, and somewhat still no. Um, and I'll unpack all that. So we're at Xactus still ingesting 2026 pricing from the credit bureaus. And as you can imagine, the FICO model change was a bit of a curveball to the industry at large, but particularly the credit bureaus in how they were thinking about deploying their pricing for 2026, either directly to lenders or more commonly through the CRAs, Xactus included. Um, so kind of where we're at right now is, we know just through our modeling internally, credit pull prices are going to significantly increase for 2026. Don't let the press release about the direct indirect model fool you there. Our models are showing upwards of a 50% increase over 2025 pricing. And we all know how significant that is just because of the amount of increases we've seen in recent years. But that's not just Xactus, that's industry wide. In fact, we're kind of expecting a lot of our competitors without similar volume and scale that Xactus has the benefit of probably seeing even higher percent increases than that. And the vast majority of that really comes from the bureaus and FICOs. I promise you, across the landscape, credit pulls are not a margin rich product suite for any provider out there. Um, but there's a
Yeah.
lot to unpack there, Judy, too. I mean, you mentioned just the try merge to buy when we were kind of setting up for this conversation. And MBA has done a lot of advocacy around a single bureau price or single bureau offering. And I don't see it. Yes, we want to reduce the overall cost wherever we can, but is $100 in price difference potentially really the quality trade-off for loan quality, or potentially reducing the eligible home buyer pool? Says we've gone through, TransUnion has a study out there. We did some internal data pull too, and found that tri merge to buy merge, the difference is pretty minimal as far as the eligibility goes. But when you go down to a single bureau, what we're finding is it decreases the pool of eligible consumers by around 10%.
Oh, wow. The opposite effect.
Well, exactly. And then
Intended impact.
primarily
Yep.
impacting, right, those that are on the lower end of the eligible, credit scoring spectrum, and by and large, first-time home buyers as well. And that just seems counterproductive to trying to expand the home buyer pool out there.
Yeah. I was, as I was doing some research to prep for the call, I was looking at, all right, I was putting my lender hat back on, and any changes that would happen in the industry, I would want a checklist, like, what updates need to be made. So just looking from the operational side, first of all, you have to know what the rules are. And I think that we're so far from knowing what the rules are going to be, it makes it very difficult. But once we know what the rules are going to be, whether we're using buy merge, which model we are using, then we have to depend on our partners to make sure that AUS has the ability to run them, and we have to do the LOS and AUS integration to make sure that they're properly being pulled. We have to revise our credit pull workflow. So if you're doing soft pull, hard pull, then what type are you doing? Are you automating those to automatically pull when the borrower opts into the credit pull? You have to retrain your teams on what the workflow is. You have to coordinate with your credit vendors, which you should also be already be having conversations with your partners. And then you have to then you're like relearning the data and what your conversion rates are so that you can make strategic decisions about what you're going to use, when you're going to use it, and how you're going to use it. I mean, it is a mountain of a task
It
for
really
even
is.
one small change that happens within credit reporting.
Yeah. And I mean, just think about that alone with, the inception of the Vantage scoring model. Like, we're ready today at Xactus for it, but we're dependent on industry partners, just like you laid out. We're still waiting on score bands from the GSEs or some of like LOS and POS partners to be able to do updated testing there, to your point, kind of based on enhancing workflows that could incorporate, one
Yeah.
scoring model versus the other. Um, let alone the secondary and MBS markets that need to analyze these pools of loans versus classic FICO and score for risk performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot out
We
there.
in the mortgage industry have learned to adapt and we are extremely resilient, but we have to know what the rules are to be able to adapt. And it seems to be very confusing. So I think most people are pretending like it's not happening or going on
Right.
until there's more clarification. And I think
We're
that
seeing
we're
it.
looking at 2027 before any
I
change.
agree with you too. At least at minimum, second half of 26, and a lot of similar things on the trigger legislation too. Like we know
Yep.
who's got carve outs there. The current lender, the servicer, NEFI with a relationship. But what we don't know is how our lender is going to be empowered to disclose for opting in to
Yep.
triggers. Or another good question we had last week is, will the lender who originated the loan still have access to the trigger after they've sold it to a servicer? There's a lot of holes out there right now that we need some agency guidance on.
Yep. We have 4 months to figure it out, less than. So we better get on that.
Cleveland in a
So
row.
everyone that I have talked to last week and this week, both members and partners, prospective partners, everyone in the industry I feel like I have talked to is in the throes of planning for 2026, both from a strategy perspective, but also or a budget perspective. So what is going on with Xactus? What's on your roadmap for 2026?
Sure. And I'm sure a lot of these folks probably wish they were already done with their planning or thought they might be. And then, the industry throws a few curveballs your way. Right,
Surprise!
surprise, happy new year. But no, on the Xactus side, I think the single biggest thing we're most excited about in 2026 is our eventual rollout of a dynamic verification of income and employment. And what that means is essentially we're applying logic through AI and algorithms, with some indicator data that we're getting from our instant databases at the time that credit is pulled, to basically be able to apply this logic, see where the most recent record was that's active, and as well as fulfilling the amount of months that you need for employment records to clear that condition, to be able to point you directly to the provider to get you that active record at the cheapest price point possible, and do all that behind the scenes while all you have to do is click a button and wait for the findings to come back. So it's we think it's really revolutionary out there. It's going to start out with our instant database providers, the Work Number, Experian, Verify, and Thomas and Company, but also looking to expand it out over the year to incorporate our consumer permission partners with Truven Argyle. Really to apply automation and AI logic here again to give you better data earlier in the process and save on costs and
Yeah,
reduce waste. So
yeah.
that's at the core of everything we're trying to do at Xactus these days.
It sounds like it's going to help lenders get closer to that push button, get mortgage that they have been chasing for years.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, that's a wrap on today's episode of the SIP, sponsored by Xactus. Tom, thank you so much for your insights on the topic, your leadership, and your friendship. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Your curiosity and engagement are what fuel this community. We'll be back on Tuesday, November the 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern for TMC members and live at 4 p.m. Eastern on LinkedIn for the broader industry. It's our final episode of November. We're taking a break the week of Thanksgiving. I looked at that. I didn't believe it to be true. I checked my calendar 3 times at 4 a.m. this morning, and it's true. And if you all found today's episode valuable, just imagine 3 full days of this energy at our Desert Disruption Conference in Scottsdale, February 22nd through the 24th. Get registered. I guarantee you, If you are not at the opening reception on February the 26th, you will have FOMO. So get registered.
That's right.
So cheers, and we'll see you next time on the SIP.
Thank you, servicemen and women.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Jody.